Oh, hamstring. Up. Sniper, take the other picture.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you can formulate opinions without having true facts.
I'm telling you, think about it logically for just a second.
Dear Reds fans, welcome back to the Zebra Zillionaires. It was a tough one yesterday.
Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman.
Well, welcome in. It's Friday morning, and in many people's lives, Fridays are a great day. It's a great day for many reasons. If you're a Cincinnati sports fan, one, you got Friday Night Football. It's a big deal in Cincinnati. Two, the UC Bearcats, Ohio State Buckeyes. For those that live in this part of the country, they are fans of one of those two teams more than likely, and they both have pretty big games this weekend. Bengals play on Monday Night Football. And as we walked out of Great American Ballpark on that lovely Wednesday afternoon, you felt like maybe, just maybe, the season was over. Cubs had a chance to bury the Reds. Game and a half up. Could have made it 2.5 up by the time the Reds played their next game. Hell, could have made it 3.5. 3 games. 3 games. And if you missed the wide world of sports last night, maybe you were too busy to find out what was going on. There was really only one thing that happened in the world of sports yesterday that was even remotely important at all. And if you missed it, this is it right here.
And it's a drive to right field, but Joshua Palacios, look at him go! Oh, Brooklyn, baby! Clear the deck with a huge pinch hit cannonball. Flair for the dramatics, indeed. 3-run blast for JP in the house. Oh, baby. His 10th of the year, second as a pinch hitter.
Goosebumps, Brownie.
Yeah, Wrigley can sit down now.
Did he?
You talk about a playoff atmosphere here at Wrigley Field today. This place has gotten loud in big situations, and Josh Palacios says, you know what? Hang me a slider right here. I'm going to go ahead and deposit it into the bleachers.
Yeah, get all the angles.
He knew it right away. Wow.
Casey, that's enough.
What a marvelous season
Oh,
for
yeah,
Palacios.
I get it. I get it.
The H and Supermo swing.
For those that don't know, the Pittsburgh Pirates now come into town to Cincinnati. They play a 3-game set at Great American Ballpark Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in what will be a pivotal moment in Cincinnati Reds season. They sit just a half game back now of the Chicago Cubs, who hold that final wild card spot, along with the Marlins. The Marlins, fortunately, have to play against the Brewers, but they get the Brewers' big 3. We know who they are. Burns, Woodruff, Peralta. So best of luck to the Marlins, and by best of luck, I hope they get swept. So here we sit now. Joey Votto's final 3 games at Great American Ballpark, coupled with the fact that it's the most meaningful games that ballpark has seen in quite some time. Meaningful games that, quite frankly, that nobody in their right mind could have ever predicted, could have ever believed. But here we are. There's a crisp in the air. You could take a hoodie down to Great American Ballpark soon, and it would actually make sense. Which is really all of us Reds fans ever really wanted in the first place, isn't it? Certainly we're going to get greedy here at the end of the year. Certainly we're probably going to have a little expectations that probably aren't fair, but that's what fans do. I'm sure many of you may go to the ballpark this weekend, but if you're not able to, that's okay as well. I fully expect the crowds to be probably pretty damn good. Saturday specifically, Sunday especially. This will be the last time that I get to say anything on the air before Joey Votto's final game at Great American Ballpark, and I want to hammer that home. For as poor as he's played at times this year, he's also provided big moments, bright spots. I'm sure we'll all remember the 3-run home run that he hit against the Braves when it felt like there was a huge hit that needed to be had, and he made it. The question now left is there one more moment? Is there one more moment? It certainly feels like the baseball gods would like to bestow that upon us, considering the last 2 nights, the Reds sat idle and had to watch the Cubs play with a chance for them to bury the season. And what happened? They're right back in it. They're right back in it. Today we have a plethora of things to get to. Many of them are picks, right? We have the NFL picks. We have college football picks. And, of course, we have our Friday night football picks towards the end of this show. We'll get into Joe Burrow's health. We'll do our draft or die segment, considering that we failed and were miserable and forgot to do that yesterday. I'm not sure if anybody would have picked the 49ers, but if you watched that game last night, I apologize. I'm sorry. The NFL, for as much as it gets credit for being this unbelievable league, there are certain times where perhaps we overvalue the significance of certain games. Why fans of Cincinnati and fans of really all over the country would tune in to a Thursday night football game between the Giants and the 49ers just proves how powerful a league it is. Because if you had asked most knowledgeable fans before that game started what was going to happen, they would have correctly predicted the 49ers were going to take care of business, and that's just what they did. 49ers are now in a position where if they stay healthy, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. It's as simple as that. Last night, you have a guy like Brock Purdy who's getting paid $900,000 a year going up against a guy that's getting paid upwards of $45+ million a year. Or not a year, but a $45 million contract. So money doesn't buy everything, does it? But it does buy a lot. If you didn't hear yesterday, late last night, I made an announcement that we will do a watch party for the Cincinnati Reds if they make the postseason. Deep South Commodities, a friend of Chatterbox Reds, has decided to purchase the first $1,000 worth of drinks. Now, I don't know if you're a math person, but $1,000 worth of drinks goes a pretty long way. It goes a pretty long way. We'll get to the details of where that will be next week. We purchased season tickets for the Cincinnati Reds, and we have a plan, hopefully with you. We're going to start a season ticket group here at Chatterbox. We'll hope that you'll join us. We're going to try to make it as affordable as humanly possible, but also make it realistic and fair for those that want to be a part of it. Because when you're a part of it, it gives you the opportunity of being within a small raffle to make the postseason tickets a face value opportunity. And by postseason, that also includes, maybe, just maybe at one point, the World Series. So here we are on this lovely Friday. You just seen the lovely home run from the Pittsburgh Pirates. What was that guy's name, Reed? Palacio?
Don't matter.
Palacio?
Yeah, Reed, what was his name?
I think his name was Palacio.
Reed?
Anyways, the point of the matter is this. Shout out to the Cubs, because what did the Cubs do the very next inning? Cody Bellinger, line drive down the left field line, double. Dansby Swanson, who failed to deliver with the bases loaded earlier in the game, hits a 2-run home run. And just as you know it, the 1-run deficit that the Cubs faced in the top of the ninth swelled to 4, and just like that, it was cut down to 2. So shout out to the Cubs for burning a little bit of the bullpen there for the Pirates as they head into Cincinnati. And we do really, truly appreciate that, Reed Mouse. Reed, how you doing?
Yeah, sup? My name's Reed. Cubs are 3-10 since I bought this jersey, so might as well wear it. Doing well.
Jersey looks good, though. Jersey looks really good.
Thanks.
It's a good-looking jersey. I like the colors.
Thanks. Yeah, doing all right, I guess. I mean, what's the point? I mean, if
why are you sad?
Listen.
I don't get it.
If you believe in the multiverse, if you believe that there are billions and trillions and infinite amount of universes, I'd simply ask God why he put me in this one. where the Cubs have lost 10 out of their last 13, and the Bengals start 0-2. If you're God's Elon Musk and he's the puppeteer of the simulation, I'd ask Elon, why you put me in this simulation? Why couldn't you get me a better one? But I digress. Sad puppy, but here I am. Elliot, nice to see you.
It's really good to see you. I just don't get why you're so sad. Today's a Friday. It's a good day. It's a really good day. I mean, the Reds are only a half game back, Reed.
The Reds are a half game. Hey, the Cubs are still in a playoff spot. Cubs are still in a playoff
Yeah, for now.
spot.
But,
Right.
we'll see. But that's the fun part. I mean, we're just having fun today. Today's a fun day. The Cubs couldn't be playing any better. The Reds are about to take a series against the Pirates, again, a team the Cubs just couldn't beat, unfortunately. It was unfortunate.
You know what's funny is I saw, I haven't fact-checked this, but I saw this on Twitter last night, that if you take away the games that the Cubs and Pirates have played each other this year, they have the exact same record. The Cubs are like 10-3 against the Pirates this year, which is not good. Not a good stat for the old Cublets.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. I'm sorry about your Cubs. Casey, do we still have that video?
No, I already got rid of it.
Oh, you got rid of it? Oh, I just wanted to see it run again.
When I bought this jersey, the Cubs had a 95% playoff chance.
What do they have now?
38.
Huh.
Still higher than the Reds.
It's still higher than the Reds for now, but that's until we sweep the Pirates and get right back in it. I'm doing great. Today's a great morning. It's a beautiful morning. I had a bloody nose this morning. I'm using a lot of nasal sprays to try to combat my cough. You might say, how does a nasal spray combat your cough? Well, it's because the nasal drip gets down in my throat, so I have to use the nasal spray, but I'm overdosing on the nasal spray, so now it's all in my nose and I have bloody noses. But the good news is for the Reds that we're back and we're in it. Casey, how are you doing?
Elliot, I'm doing great. Elliot. I'm happy for the Reds. We're in a good spot. We're in a good place. I have a lot of faith that we're going to have a great weekend. So, yeah.
Well, before the show started, I looked to see if Betfred Sportsbook had a line on the Cincinnati Reds game today, and they still haven't because it just wasn't available quite yet, largely probably because the starter for the Pittsburgh Pirates had not been announced. We'll see if that changes at any point during this show, and I'll keep an eye on it. It still appears that is not the case. It just came out. The Cincinnati Reds are minus 165 on the money line. So, heavy favorites. The Cubs minus 225 on the money line as well. The Cubs should win today without question. They play the Rockies. Rockies are a poverty franchise, not very good at all. In fact, they were a disgusting baseball team, and there's just no chance that they would beat anybody in a big time situation. And I'm sure Wrigley Field will be sold out. It'll be a really tough environment for the Rockies, and we'll see how it all goes. The Rockies and the Cubs play at 2:20 today. There's a chance that the Cincinnati Reds, without playing one baseball game, go from a game and a half behind the Chicago Cubs to tied with the Cubs. We'll see how that ultimately goes. But again, as a reminder, if for those that do not follow the X app or the X.com app, I put out a little post today that on Ballpark Pals, which is a nice little friendly website, no free ads, but I gave them one, there are ballpark factors, and the ballpark factor down at Great American Ballpark is a 16% increased run probability with a 24% increased home run probability down at Great American Ballpark. So as much as people want to make fun and laugh at how small Great American Ballpark is, it has gotten smaller tonight on City Connect Jersey night and also firework night at Great American Ballpark. So take that for what it's worth.
My favorite dig that you had at the Cubs there was you digging at their fan base for selling out a stadium during a playoff race. I know that's unheard of around here, but I like that dig you had. That is bad for the Cubs fans. I mean, why would you want to sell out a stadium in a playoff race? Why would you want to go see your favorite team play when they have a chance to play the playoffs? I know that's weird. That's crazy. That's so dumb of the Cubs fans.
No, I was just saying it was a really tough environment. In fact, last night, if you heard after that Palacio, I think it's not that. My apologies.
Yeah, what's his name?
It's Pistachio. When Pistachio hit that big 3-run home run last night, the Pirates broadcast mentioned it was a playoff atmosphere. And you know what? That's a tough environment to play in. It's a tough environment to play in. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe that's been the whole goal of the Cincinnati Reds fandom all along. Just lull the opponent to sleep. Don't let them know. Don't let them know how big the games are. No. Just $5,000 a night. Just make it seem like it's no big deal. Even Steven. We don't want the Pittsburgh Pirates to come into town thinking that there's something important to play for. No. Take them to the BA, get them a little bit of Jeff Ruby's, and then boom. Sweep them, and they're on their way. All right, we have some picks to do today. We got a little bit of a loaded show. I don't know if that's holistically accurate or not. But first, before we get into the picks, I do want to explain quickly we have some plans. When those plans get executed will be a little bit of TBD. But we have memberships coming soon. So there's been people that have asked about what does that look like on YouTube? Can we get memberships? You get badges, you get icons, this, that, and the other. We held off on that because I wanted to make sure that before we did that, we had a relative plan on what that looks like. So for those that enjoy Chatterbox Sports, there will be memberships. The reason that we do that and the reason that we get into all of this right now, and I guess this is the part of the show that I'll kind of get into the other side of the aisle, if you will, a little bit of outside of sports, but Chatterbox in general is this. Chatterbox Sports, for the most part, is still a very, very small business, right? And we are in a position where we want to try to build a community more or less than to try to be clickbait versions and go out and try to do crazy stuff to just get views. And then, you know where I'm going with this. Because if you do that, then you become unauthentic, and then you have people that really get tired of the shtick, and then at some point you just turn into X. And I'm not talking about Twitter. I'm talking about just XYZ media outlet. They exist in the city. They exist nationally. You know who they are. You can figure out who they are. You're smart enough to figure that out. And that's just not the ultimate goal of why we started this. The goal of starting this was just to have fun, chat about sports with your friends, as if you're sitting around a bar table about your favorite teams. And for the most part, that's what we've done since we started this. And now we're at a point where the rubber meets the road. There's a fork in the road. Whatever term you'd like to come up with, line in the sand. We have to come up with a solution and or a plan of how we try to make doing this show every single day make sense. Yes, we have advertisers and we'll continue to utilize that and try to make this show free, and it will always be free. This show will always be free. But memberships is going to come with the opportunity of watching more of our other content. Tom will be back in a month. You guys want box lunch. Some want box lunch. In order to make box lunch make sense, we must include that in the membership. Part of the membership is going to be a couple things. One, you're going to get a free t-shirt. And by a free t-shirt, it's the only way you can get a t-shirt that says Leader of Men on it at Chatterbox Sports, is to be a member of our YouTube community. The other thing you're going to get is behind-the-scenes content. So all the arguments, the ridiculous things that we do around here that, quite honestly, I think sometimes is more entertaining than perhaps this show, which isn't a high bar. I know. I get it. But you're going to get behind-the-scenes content. You want to see more outside-the-office challenges, a la golf matches. Perhaps there's putt-putt tournaments we'll do. Things of that nature. That will also be a part of our membership package. That is ultimately the way in which we must operate to make those things make sense in what we do. If it's not something you're able to do, by all means, we understand. But we appreciate the loyalty of you watching this show. And to be very clear, again, I don't want to make this blurred lines or blurred vision. This show is free. It will continue to be free. And we just love that you show up and you have fun with us. There's no obligations here. Of course, we appreciate every super chat we get. But for us to go and do other content, we must try to find a way to make it worth our time to do that. So Box Lunch will be back. That time frame on when it will come back will depend on when Tom arrives. Today, however, we do have a little bit of a special treat. We have Box Lunch today. Mm-hmm. The reason we have Box Lunch today is because we felt a little bit of bad that we cut the show off a little bit short on Wednesday. So Box Lunch will be right after today's show. And as a reminder, we will start to do Box Lunch behind our Leader of Men membership program. That will launch on Monday of next week. We will not be doing Box Lunch Monday of next week. But we will launch the membership packages so you can get all of the goodies that come with that. And it'll be all laid out right there in front of you on the membership section of our YouTube page. The other thing I'd like to check in real time is we are, 50? Am I reading that right or am I wrong on that? We are 50 so odd subscribers away from hitting 10K. That would be a big deal. We would appreciate that if you're able to do that. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so now. The last topic of conversation that's outside of sports that we're going to do right this second, and then we will start. I promise, Ron, we're going to do sports in just like 3 minutes. Bear with me. So we just purchased season tickets for the Cincinnati Reds, and Chatterbox Reds in and of itself will start to be doing more content this offseason. Along with that, we're going to probably add a couple of things that are going on with Chatterbox Reds. And for all intents and purposes, we're going to try to, as always, create a community. There is an X.com community right now. For those that don't know, when you're on Twitter, you can go to communities, search Chatterbox Reds. You can jump in that community as well. We got 8 games for the rest of our lives, as they say. 8 games. When it gets this close into the season, I think we're at a point now where, quite honestly, you can throw away how great things are or how good you've been, this, that, and the other. It all comes down to how well can you play for the next week. Can you get hot or can you not? We have a super chat. It says, "You're beautiful and I love you." Even Reed. Thank you, Chi-Town. Wouldn't be a morning without it. Drew Garrison says, "What tier gets me access to Elliot's home address?" Well, there is a tier that perhaps will maybe include that in with it, but it also might get to where we fire Reed.
Top tier gets Reed fired. Yes! Unemployment. Love it. Sign up. Sign up to top tier.
So as if Reed wasn't down enough now, maybe he'll just stoop a little bit lower. The good news is that Cubs fans, and Reed obviously included in that, they are very, very well conditioned for this type of meltdown. This is a poised individual we have over there. He's been through this before. He'll get through it again.
Yeah, Reed will be fine. And the guy who hit the home run, Reed, what's his name again? What's the guy? I forget his name. But when the Pirates won last night, really the Cubs weren't even in that game as much as they tried to fight. But I bet when that home run was hit by that guy, I just don't know his name. Reed probably knows his name. But when that home run was hit, I bet Reed was in his house saying, you know what? We're still alive. We can still do it. They're playing a Rockies team that they played very well against last time. I believe they lost in Colorado that series, unfortunately. So they've a good track record there. There's a lot of confidence in Reed right now. I can see it. I can smell it on him. So Reed's okay. Reed's going to be okay.
Sir Boy Wonder says, "I can't wait for playoff baseball with 100. And nice to see Reed hasn't been fired." With a flat emoji face.
Yeah. Top tier.
Yeah.
Gets me fired.
Top tier. I actually think there's a possibility of it happening. We'll see. We'll see.
Love to hear that. What a great Friday, Reader. Keep playing the hits. Let's go. Keep it going. 10:26. Got an hour and a half left of this. Let's go. Let's rock.
Well, here's the beautiful thing. Like I said before, I'll say it again, and we'll do college football picks right after this statement. Reed, let me cheer you up.
Sling it, Big Pimpin'.
At 2:20 today, the Chicago Cubs play the poverty franchise that is the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies cannot win any baseball games. They are horrible. They are terrible.
Yep.
And to be clear, the Rockies did beat the Cubs the last time they played just a couple weeks ago. But continue. Sorry.
But that's exactly why. That's exactly why the Cubs can't possibly lose this game.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they just won't.
I agree.
It is impossible to lose this game. So congratulations to the Cubs on already winning. Minus 225 favorites. In fact, if you had a ton of money, throw it all on the Cubs today. Of course, if you have a gambling problem, as always, you can bet with Betfred. But if you do have that gambling problem, they have a number to call. It's called 1-800-GAMBLER. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus in Ohio. And as always, gamble responsibly. All right.
I just might throw all the money. I mean, I'm going to need some source of income here soon anyway, so might as well just throw it all.
Yeah.
Jamison Italian. Let's go. Smart. -220.
Yeah.
Let's rock and roll.
Speaking of Betfred Sportsbooks,
Joshua was his name.
there is a lot of football to be played this weekend. And with football usually comes lines, and with lines comes us guessing on which side of that line we'd like to be. Casey, we're going to do our picks now. We'll start with college football.
Yep.
College football it is. Let's start with a huge game. The big noon kickoff. The Cincinnati Bearcats v. the Oklahoma Sooners. This is the first time Oklahoma has come to Nippert Stadium, if you need to be reminded. Big noon kickoff will also be in Cincinnati, and that was to the demise of Brady Quinn. Did you hear what he had to say? Brady Quinn, when asked where they're going, he said, "We're going to Cincinnati. I'm not real sure why. There's a lot of good football games this week." Tough. You think Brady Quinn's a little pissed off that he doesn't get to go to Notre Dame? I think that he is, probably, if I had to guess. But that's near here nor there. All right, I am going to go with the Oklahoma Sooners, unfortunately. I just don't know. I think it's going to be close. If I were to be a gambling man, which I am, I'm going to lay off this game because I think that line is just almost perfect. But you know what? I would love to see nothing more than UC find a way to win this football game. That would be a wild time in Clifton, so best of luck to them. I'm not rooting against them, but I am trying to keep myself at the top of the standings, so I'm going to take the Sooners of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, Trace. This really is a really good line. If UC wins this, man, what a jolt to the city that would be. I love the over in this, but I'm going to take the Sooners because, like you, I think it's just the safe play.
Yeah, I think UC's dead. The season's over. I watched that Miami game, and it was disgusting. So, season's over. It was fun. I'm going to take Oklahoma Boomer Sooner.
Well, I'm also taking Oklahoma. And just a quick shout-out to
like
my
where this is
uncle
going.
who's working on the Big Noon Kickoff right now. So
Nice.
if I see you on at the Bash.
There you go.
Tom?
And Tom is also taking Oklahoma.
All right, well, then never mind. I'm changing it to UC. Change it to UC. All right, so UC, I was wrong about UC. The season's alive. They're playing Oklahoma. Everything's back on the table now. I don't even remember who they lost to last week. Doesn't matter the quality of that football program. UC's all the way back. Emory Jones, still a Heisman frontrunner. Scott Satterfield, he runs fake punts from his own 4-yard line. That's just our guy. UC's all the way back. They're going to beat Oklahoma outright. You're going to go to Betfred Sportsbook right now. You're going to put your house, your mortgage, your dog. Do you have a cat? Put your cat on UC plus 14.5. You want to do it responsibly. You can't be irresponsible when you're putting your cat on things. But put your cat on it. Win another cat. You get another cat if you win.
2 cats.
2 cats. So there you go. UC. I'm all the way back.
Mr. Mo says, remember the video Reed drunkenly smiling in Elliot's face while getting beer poured in his crack? Yeah. I don't feel bad for you, Reed. Cubs blow. What a super chat from Mr. Mo.
I mean, if you want a little if you want a little inside baseball about that video taking place, I make that video and Elliot looks at me and goes, "Oh, that's so funny." He approved of the video.
I did approve of the video. The game, by the way, the game last night was on a big home run. Trace, what was the name of the guy who hit the home run?
I think his name was Carlos Pistachio or something like that.
Yeah, his name was Joshua. But yeah,
Joshua,
that's right.
what it was.
Jacob Plinko.
Sorry. All right. All right, Casey, next one.
Next one, we got Colorado versus Oregon.
Ooh, prime time meets prime time. I am going to go with Oregon. I think they're a much better program. They've been a part of big games before. And this game is where?
This is in Oregon.
It's in Eugene. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. Yeah, Eugene, big-time home field advantage. So I'm going to go with the Ducks. I think the Ducks just absolutely demolish Colorado. And to be fair to Colorado, they don't have the best player in the country in Travis Hunter. So for that, I am going to go with the Ducks.
Well, I think everyone is so high on Colorado, and they're an exciting team. And why wouldn't you be high? Deion's electric and everything like that. But I think Vegas, we're in Betfred's case, the United Kingdom, I think sometimes they put out a little trap, and as a mouse, I'm familiar with traps, and this is a trap. For that reason, I am taking the Ducks minus 21. It might look like free money, but I trust me here. Take the Ducks minus 21.
Yeah, I've tried to bet against Deion once or twice before, and it's failed me. Some would say they were system plays. I don't know about that, but that's all I know. I just lose my money on Colorado. I don't believe in them. But all of a sudden, they come back and they win games. Last week was a rougher game. I know they lost Travis Hunter. It was a rough game. It was Colorado State. It wasn't a very good opponent. But here's the thing. I believe in Coach Deion Sanders. Prime time. He's going to get a win. He's going to beat Oregon. I don't care if it's 21. I don't care if it's 31-point underdogs. They're just going to win outright. They're going to win outright, and they're going to play for a national championship, and Coach Deion Sanders will be known as the greatest head college football coach in the history of the sport. Asterisk Nick Saban.
Well, I'm not as high as Elliott is on Colorado. I just don't think I don't think Vegas or England have quite. They haven't gotten the full correction yet. This is probably going to be the final week where they actually, are taken seriously. I think minus 21. That's 3 touchdowns. That's 3 scores. That's a lot for 2 teams. I think that are pretty competent both on offense. Despite Travis Hunter being hurt, I think Shedeur is the number 1 draft pick next year for a quarterback. So he's my Heisman hopeful. I like Colorado a lot. And
you think
it's a fair point. I think that he said I think Deion and or Shedeur said that they did not want to come out this year because I felt like Caleb Williams was going to be the number 1 pick regardless. So they wanted to wait for a year, and with the fact that there's NIL, they made the point that it's still not a bad thing to be in college. So they obviously feel like they're primed and positioned to be the number 1 pick in Shedeur. So maybe he will be. I don't know.
On top of that too, it's also to play with Travis Hunter for a full year since he's out. I think he's out not the whole year, but most of the year.
Like 2 or 3 more weeks is what I've been told. But again, I don't know. Not in the locker rooms of Colorado. What's Tom got?
Tom's got Colorado too.
Wow,
he believes.
He's believing. Tom is believing in the Buffaloes.
Let's go, baby.
All right. Next up, Ole Miss via Alabama. Boy, this is going to be a telltale sign of whether times have changed or if it's just the same old, same old. Now, do I think Alabama's the same old team? Of course I don't. They have a quarterback situation that's just not the same as it used to be. Can we talk about Alabama for just a half a second here? Think about the quarterback play they've had over the past few years. Mac Jones, Tua,
Bryce Young,
Jalen Hurts.
That's a lot of really good quarterbacks. That's the type of quarterback play that can lead you to winning a lot of big football games when you might not be the same old Alabama that you used to be, but it can be masked by great quarterback play. Now, do I think Alabama are scrubs? Of course I don't. Do I think that they're the same top-tier team that they've been in the trenches throughout the domination of the dynasty that is Alabama? No, I do not. But I've always felt like Ole Miss is frauds. Every year Ole Miss gets around the top 10, top 7, maybe they'll be in the top 15, and then they just fall apart. Now, I do think Lane Kiffin's a good coach. I think Lane Kiffin's a pretty damn good coach. Ole Miss is a program that's a poverty program unless you have an elite level coach. And I think for all intents and purposes, Lane Kiffin's done an incredible job at Ole Miss. But having said that, Alabama, I think, gets it back on track. They take care of Ole Miss. And Ole Miss finds themselves in the same old scenario where they just can't quite get over the hump.
Listen, everyone's down on Alabama, and rightfully so. They look the most vulnerable perhaps they've ever looked under the Nick Saban era, although he's still been fantastic against guys that he's coached, that have coached underneath him. Daniel Tosh over there at Ole Miss. By the way, what a stupid name, Ole Miss. It's just Mississippi. Like, it's not Ole Alabama, Ole Arkansas. I mean, what are you doing, Mississippi? Jackson Fart sucks. Give me the Crimson Tide.
Listen, I haven't been a gambler for a long time, 3 years, because you have to be 21 years of age. So 3 years I've been a gambler. I found out a couple things. Number one, I lose every bet I bet on Hawaii. I'll always make the midnight bet on Hawaii. Basketball, football, doesn't matter, and I'll lose it. The second thing I've learned is you don't get rich betting against Alabama. So I'm not going to start now. Ole Miss and the Tui family, they're rigged. They're not rigged. They're bad people. They're bad people. They've robbed Michael Orr of money.
That's just not true.
So that is true. That is true.
True.
That was the report that I saw.
Yeah.
That was the report that was reported. So
better sources.
They're robbing Michael Orr of his money, his movie money.
Just not true.
They're robbing him of his movie money. Ole Miss is going down in the tanks. I'm taking Alabama and Nick Saban and Jacob Tissett. Jacob Tissett will lead the Alabama Fighting Alabamas.
Damn right.
Listen, guys,
Roll Tide.
I talked to our good friend Jacob Tissett about this Alabama Crimson Tide, and he told me it's not the same, guys. It's not the same Alabama that he's used to. I mean, this team, they were struggling to beat a USF team. I mean, it was 17-3. You really going to bet Alabama against Ole Miss? I ain't. I'm picking Ole Miss. I'm gonna zag here. I think this is the fall of Bama.
Insider knowledge.
Here's the thing, Casey. It might not be the Alabama of old, but it's the Ole Miss of always, and they always suck. What are we talking about?
Think about
Lane
Michael
Kiffin?
Orr. Do you remember Michael Orr?
Big Game Lane. Big Game Lane.
They found him
Kiffin
on the
and
street.
Jackson Fart as your quarterback. What are we talking
Made
about?
a movie about him.
Crimson Tide.
Wouldn't
We'll
pay
see,
him his
guys.
movie money.
They had
I'll
Eli
trust-
Manning, and they
Robbing
sucked.
people blind.
I'll trust my good friend Jacob Tissett and
So
his
you
gut feeling.
You reckon Alabama ain't winning this one?
I don't think they're covering. I don't think they're
reckon
covering.
Alabama
this.
ain't covering?
I think this comes down. You know what's going to end up happening? It's going to go into overtime, and then they're going to score 6 points, and I'm going to cover because of the hook. That's what I think is going to happen.
Well, what's Tom Brenneman have to say
He's
about
got
this
Alabama,
one?
too.
Alabama.
Miss.
Smart man.
Alaska,
Miss.
Arizona, Arkansas. All right,
I
let's keep
reckon.
moving. Next up, Ohio State rolls into Notre Dame Stadium. Boy, I'll tell you what. Is this not a big-time game or what? This is college football at its best. Big brand v. big brand. Is this finally the time that Notre Dame gets over the hump? Is this finally the time that all of the eyes are on the golden helmets and they don't lay a turd? I don't know. It certainly feels like it. It certainly feels like when you got a team that has a new quarterback, they got a little bit of a hairy start. Played in Bloomington, Indiana. That's a basketball school, and they struggled. But you turn around, they start playing a little bit better lately. They blow the doors off of who'd they play? Western Kentucky, I believe. I can't remember. They do have a tough schedule this year, though. I've been told about how tough their schedule is. But they go into Notre Dame Stadium and they face a team that finally feels like they probably are the better team. Sammy Heisman, can he lead them to a victory over Ohio State? I don't know. But in my mind, I guess this is the part of the show where I turn the tables and I go back to something I always make fun of these guys for doing in the NFL. It's the Browns. They're going to blow it. They're not very good. I don't know, man. The Browns are pretty damn good. It's the Browns. And then sure enough, there go the Browns. They give up 4 yards of offense, or they give up 4 yards. Yeah, they give up 4 yards of offense in the entire fourth quarter against the Steelers, and they somehow find a way to lose, 26-22. I got to be honest, if you're a Notre Dame fan, I don't want you to take this personally. I just can't believe in them until I see it. I can't possibly take Notre Dame until I see for one time there's a big football game and they show up for it and they actually win. So for that reason, I'm going to take Ohio State as much as it pains me. Ohio State now has a white background, and Casey McAllister stepping his game up. So congratulations to the Buckeyes. I'm sure for all intents and purposes, if they win this game, it'll be the same old Notre Dame. But if Ohio State were to lose this game, and they found themselves in a position where they had to have a must-win against Michigan and then lost to Michigan for the third straight time, you must admit Ryan Day has to be on the hot seat. We'll get to that probably towards the end of this year. But this is a big-time game for multiple reasons, and I can't wait to watch it. That will be a 7:30 kick this Saturday evening. Reed?
This is the kind of game that makes me want to take back what I say about college football sometimes. Listen, if you don't know this about me, if I have a college football fandom, it's Notre Dame. And Marcus Freeman is going to walk into that locker room on Saturday. He's going to grab a stool. He's going to stand on top. He's going to look over Sam Hartman and the rest of his fighting Irish. He's going to tell them these words. He said, we're going to go inside him. We're going to go outside him. Inside or outside him. We're going to get him on the run once, and we're going to keep him on the run. And we're not going to pass until the secondary gets too close. And we're not going to get him on the run. We're going to go, 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 go. And we're not going to stop till we get across that goal line. Today's the day. We're going to win. They can't lick us. Now the first platoon men, we're going to go in there. We're going to fight, 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 fight. Now what do you say, man? Yeah. Shout out Rudy. Give me the fighting Irish.
Oof, that made me sick. I was thinking about Notre Dame. My family and I, we try to go to a Notre Dame game once a year. It's a cool stadium. It's a cool atmosphere. But here's the thing about Notre Dame. They've still got troughs in the bathroom. Everybody's peeing in troughs. So for that reason alone, I am going to take the Ohio State Buckeyes. Mark Fetters, Sir Boy Wonders, they're Ohio State Buckeyes. They're going to win this game. They're not going to win it by 5. They're not going to win it by 7, not by 14. They're going to win this game by 52. 52 points. The University of Ohio State University, they wallop the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Guys, and I want to address the Browns point. The Browns are going to Browns. Well, this time, this Notre Dame team actually has a quarterback, which is the difference between the Browns and Notre Dame. I'm taking Notre Dame in this one.
Hell yeah,
Sam
Casey.
Hartman is my dark horse Heisman guy. This is where he makes his case. This is the big game that they get it done. And then Tom, of course.
How would we possibly guess?
Tom, of course, going with his Buckeyes.
Couldn't imagine that. It'd basically be a cold day in hell when Tom picks the Buckeyes to lose to Notre Dame. Rudy was offsides. I seen a super chat from Mr. Mo. Drew Garrison says, Jim Harbaugh beat Ryan Day, told the world he was a fraud, and then he beat him worse the next year. Chef's kiss. Listen, Ryan Day, I think, is a good football coach. It's just a matter of winning the big games. Unfortunately, at Ohio State, when you're at a program that big, man, it's tough. It's tough. If you're not perfect, there's going to be some people that aren't happy. All right, moving on. Florida State plays Clemson in a big ACC battle. This is one of those games where if Florida State were to be able to get by this game, you look at the schedule and you start asking yourself, is Florida State going to make the college football playoff? Probably so, is what you would think. But unfortunately, this is one of those times where, as we've said before in this office, we have a system that we go by. Elliot wants to make fun of it because, well, it's failed him. But it's not failed me. They're getting to this part of the season where there are perceptions that are made about certain programs, right? You watch them long enough, you develop this notion of whether this team's good or this team's a fraud or whether you think this team is a perennial power or not. Florida State in prime time, right? They went out there against LSU under the lights and they delivered the goods. They didn't just beat LSU. They took LSU to the woodshed for the most part. And right there, perceptions were cast. Florida State is back. Mike Norvell has a football team down there that can get to the college football playoff. And you know what? They still might. Not to ruin fandom and not to ruin sports, because I think sometimes when you get into this whole analytical thing with betting and you're looking at lines, you're looking at the percentages of what the public feels and blah 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 and line movement, it kind of does take away the joy of sitting down on a couch and cracking open a cold nice beer and drinking whatever it is that you may enjoy outside of beer, or perhaps you like a chip and guacamole. We'll go around the room here in a little bit. Maybe we'll figure out what your favorite game day snack would be. But nonetheless, it does make it a little less fun when you're sitting there watching games and you're just like, this isn't going to work because Vegas knows something. This is one of those games where I think Vegas knows something. Why Clemson is only 2-point dogs in this game, I don't know. Which is exactly why I'm going to take them. I really have no idea why Clemson's 2-point dogs. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think Dabo is a fraud. I think he's been a fraud. And for somebody that loves Jesus and God, not a big fan of the way that he just uses it as a shield more times than not. But that's my obviously that's my position. You may have your own position on Dabo, and you like his press conferences and him doing certain things at recruiting houses that are weird to me. But that's here nor there. So for that point, maybe this is a telltale sign of all the things. I cannot stand Dabo Swinney, and I'm picking him. So that just shows you how much I believe in the system, Reed Mouse.
Well, yeah, I think you've got the wrong read on Dabo Swinney. When you talk about swagger, when you talk about being cool,
God,
nobody is cooler than Dabo Swinney. It's like everyone is gravitating towards Deion Sanders' prime. What's cool about that? Dabo's got the swagger. Dabo's so cool. I don't get what you guys don't see. Dabo's the coolest guy in college football, and it's for that reason that I think the Tigers are going to win. They're going to win. Give me Clemson.
I got one question for you guys. FS who? FS who? FSU.
Nice.
FSU rolls Dabo Swinney. I don't want to see him sprint out of the tunnel. I don't want to see him be a weirdo anymore. I don't want to see him do those TikTok dances. I want to see him coach. And when he coaches, he's a bad coach. So I'm going to go FS who? FSU.
I want to pull up that Dabo Swinney TikTok. He's like, Dabo's got the drip. That whole video. Because it's cool.
He's on.
He's so cool.
He's on TikTok. Go ahead.
He's the worst.
Dabo's the worst. I'm going with FSU. They've got a couple guys on the defensive line that are just going to give Clemson hell all night long. And the last time that these two played in 2022 is 34-28, pretty close game. I think Clemson's worse from last year. I don't think their defense is as good as it was last year. So I think this is a good opportunity for FSU to get a win here. -2. Yeah, I think he gets it done.
This will be interesting. I have no idea where Tom's going with this one.
He doesn't believe in Dabo either.
The Seminoles.
Reed, that looks pretty good for us. We'll see how it goes. I hate that. I can't stand the fact that Clemson's going to win that football game, but they're going to find a way.
Will Ohio State Notre Dame be the best college football game of the year?
No.
I don't know. Yeah, you can't guess how good it's certainly the highest build. I mean, it's got the most lead up to it. I mean, that's exactly what college football should be. But I don't know. That's hard.
Speaking of college football, really fast before we get into the NFL picks here in just a second, is did you see the take that Urban Meyer had just the other day?
Sure was good. He's a good man.
He was on the Tim May podcast, and he said that he was worried about teams scheduling weak like Georgia. Now, I get it. Maybe that triggered me a little bit because, Georgia's a fandom of mine. However, how does he not realize that Georgia was scheduled to play Oklahoma? And, in fact, when this is a news flash, I'm pretty sure he's well aware of this. You can go and look at football schedules well in advance. There are a lot of teams that are stepping outside the box to play big-time opponents now because the college football is expanding. The reason that you would want to play a weak schedule back in the day is because you had to go undefeated. It was impossible to get to the national championship unless you went undefeated. Sometimes I wonder, I mean, Urban Meyer knows way more about football than he forgot more football than I know. Yes, I get all that. I mean, Urban Meyer's been an unbelievable college football coach. But, how could you possibly say that when that's the opposite of the truth? It's quite literally the opposite of what's happened. There are more and more teams that are scheduling better and better opponents because they know ultimately that could be the difference between them getting into a 8-team, 16-team playoff and not getting in. All right, NFL pick'ems. First up, Broncos v. Dolphins. I'm just overthinking this whole entire board. I got to be honest. I don't like the board. I'm not seeing it clearly because of how in the world the Broncos are only given 6.5 or getting 6.5 against the Dolphins. I'll never know. It's in Miami. I could be convinced if it was in Denver, but it's in Miami and it's less than a touchdown. I get this is the NFL, but it doesn't make any sense, which is exactly why I'm going to take the Broncos.
Yeah, I think people have a love affair with the Dolphins. They're really cool. They played well for the first 2 weeks. You know, they're one of 2 AFC teams that have started undefeated. They've obviously, when Tua is there and they've got all these weapons, they have a dynamic offense. But I'll say it again. I think this is a trap. So for that reason, I think that the Broncos are going to cover 6.5. I guess I'm fading the narrative that is that the Dolphins are the best team in football, the best team in the AFC. I'm just going to fade that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the Patriots are better than the Broncos, and the Dolphins took care of business there. I think the Broncos haven't been very good for quite some time. Sean Payton has underwhelmed the hype around him. So I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. I think Tua Tagovailoa. I think Tyreek Hill. I think Raheem Mustard. I think all these guys, Jalen Waddle, I think the Dolphins are damn good. And at home, 7-point game, I'm going to take them by a touchdown easy. No problem. The Miami Dolphins are going to win this game, and they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
This was a tough one for me. I really like the Dolphins, especially at home. I mean, they're pretty much damn near undefeated at home in September just because of how hot it gets. This is a 1 p.m. game. That gives them an advantage. I'm just looking really quickly at their injury report, and the Dolphins have a ton of injuries. A lot of limited and did not participate players, like Jalen Waddle didn't play or didn't practice. Teron Armstead is limited. They're all-pro tackle. Tyreek Hill was even hurt earlier on in the week. Like, there's just a lot of unknown there. I think that's maybe why it's at 6.5. So if everyone's healthy, I think 6.5 is doable. I'm going to take them just assuming that not everyone on the Dolphins is going to be hurt. But if it ends up being that everyone's hurt, I don't feel good about my pick. So Tom is also taking Miami. So
the Dolphins. All right. Me and Reed on an island again.
We're going to lose a lot of ground or make up a lot of ground.
Boy, are we. All right, next up, Chargers v. Vikings. What a big-time game this is for 2 fan bases that probably felt like they were going to make the postseason. Chargers, 0-2. Vikings, 0-2. For all intents and purposes, is this a playoff game?
Yeah.
Has to be. Start 0-3 and expect to make the postseason's bonkers. I've been this very guy to sit up here and tell you that Justin Herbert is a very, very good quarterback, but I'm starting to believe that maybe the Chargers are just going to continue to fail him. I don't know how much better he can play and lose 2 games. That's the concern that I have if I was a Chargers fan. The guy has like 100 passer rating for the last 2 weeks, and he continues to lose. So if you can't win when he's playing well, what happens if he just has 1 bad week? Then you're definitely not going to win. But I sat here and I've defended Justin Herbert, and I'll continue to defend him, and I cannot possibly pick the Vikings, although I do think Kirk Cousins, I've said it before, I think he's better than people want to give him credit for, and I was to blame before. I used to laugh at Kirk Cousins being a good quarterback. If you watch him long enough, I think he actually is. All right, I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Yeah, it's funny. I think the Los Angeles Chargers of Anaheim are a funny team because we've been doing this thing for 15 years about they've got a good quarterback, they've got good weapons, they've got all this talent on the offensive side. You just keep expecting them to do more, and they just don't. You remember back like in the mid-2000s when they had LT, one of the greatest running backs of all time, Antonio Gates, one of the greatest tight ends of all time, Phillip Rivers, a Hall of Fame quarterback, and they just, I think they were a 1 seed one year, but other than that, they were just, LT won the MVP and set the record for most rushing touchdowns in a year, and they were just, And I feel like this Chargers team is pretty similar to that. Justin Herbert's got so much talent. He's so fun to watch. He's got a cannon, but for some reason, they just keep checking down. He's got such a good arm, and he never tries to expand the ball downfield, extend the ball downfield. Kirk Cousins at home at noon, In the Central Time Zone, I know Trace hates it, but give me the new nightmare. Give me the Vikings.
I don't hate that pick. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I'm going to go with the Chargers and Justin Herbert just because I simply refuse to believe they're this bad. But Justin Herbert is proclaimed as the greatest quarterback to ever walk the earth on Twitter. You go on X.com, and it's all about if Justin Herbert had prime Randy Moss, he'd be in the Hall of Fame already. He'd be better than Patrick Mahomes if he had prime Antonio Brown and Michael Thomas. But it's just like he hasn't been that – he refuses to win the big game. I know how good his arm is. I know he's got a cannon. I know he's accurate. I know he can make the big throw, but he doesn't win games. And that's the issue. He doesn't win the big game. So for that reason, I'm going to take the Chargers, but I have apprehension about it. I'm going to take the Chargers because they have to win, but I don't think they will win. So I'm going to take it.
This is, for me, the biggest game of the week. I'm taking the Vikings. Here's my reason why. Justin Herbert, the last 2 weeks, has had the ball in his hands, had an opportunity to drive down the field and win the ball game and or tie, and he's failed both times. Throwing it short, throwing it deep. The last game was super ugly. I mean, he threw it deep 3 times in a row, and the last 2 balls were to no one. I mean, it was bad. He just crumbles under pressure. I refuse to think that this Chargers team is this bad, but I think they have to have the right game script for them to win. Now, little fun fact, Justin Herbert is one of the most pressured, and when I say pressure, not the traditional pass rush, but he is given the ball in fourth quarter the most when he needs to go make a play and win the ball game. And he's failed many, 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 many times. And for me, the Vikings are just not this bad. They've had 8 turnovers in the last 2 weeks. I made a compilation on my show if you all want to watch that. It's hysterical how bad they've been. I just don't think that they can continue to do that either. One or the other is going to have to break. And if it's up to me, I'm going to choose the Vikings, not turning the ball over 4 times. So that's why I'm picking the Vikings. I have them winning this ball game. Tom also has them winning this ball game.
All right. I mean, I can't argue that. I understand the Vikings are a good football team. In fact, it's a tough spot for both of those franchises because you're playing another really good team, and one of them is going to be 0-3. And when you're 0-3, it is what it is. It's a death sentence for the most part. All right, next up, Falcons v. Lions. I'll make this one relatively short and sweet for you. I don't believe the Falcons are a great team. In fact, I know they're 2-0. I get all that. I get Desmond Ridder. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe Desmond Ridder is going to be a guy that's going to lead a team to anything of significance. And I know that there's some UC fans that are going to be upset about that. I don't mean any disrespect by it. I just can't believe in him. So I am going to take, this is not a very confident pick, but I am going to take the Lions.
Yeah, this is the Fraud Bowl at Fraud Field, and I'm going to take the Lion. Is that who I said? I don't even know. I don't care. I think it's the Detroit Lions. Yeah, the Detroit Lions are going to win this one because Jared Goff, as much as I think that both these teams are frauds, at least Jared Goff can sling the pigskin a little bit. So give me Jared Goff and the Lions.
I'm going to go with the Lions, too. I just don't think, respectfully to the Falcons, Desmond Ridder's not a good quarterback. So I'm a UC guy. I love Desmond Ridder. But at the end of the day, I just watch him play football, and he's just not good. He doesn't throw the ball downfield. He's a dink and dunk guy. You'll be lucky to see if he throws a touchdown that doesn't start behind the line of scrimmage. So he'll throw these screen passes. They'll go for 30 yards or something. But it's just like he's not good. The Falcons are not a good team. Desmond Ridder is not a good quarterback. I'm going to take the Lions -3, but both of these teams, I don't believe in them. Both of these teams are a mortal lock to never reach a Super Bowl.
Well, that's funny because the Falcons just reached one like not even 10 years ago. But anyways, I'm going to take the Falcons here. I think Desmond Ridder is a pretty good quarterback, despite what those guys think over there. Yeah, he's not the vocal point of this offense. Bijan is, and Bijan is a damn good running back. I'm going to have to agree with Trace a little bit on this one. A running back really does make this team click a little bit. But despite that, Desmond Ridder, yes, he dinks and dunks, but when it matters most, he makes the throws. He makes the plays. He can run the ball. All I'm trying to say is Desmond Ridder has somewhat of a clutch gene, and we've seen that at UC. He's been able to.
He showed up big against Alabama.
That's a tougher matchup. That's a
what
hard
happens in
matchup. But this is
football.
the Lions defense who has no Chancey Gardner Jr. anymore. They lost James Houston, their other pass rusher. They have no pass rush anymore. They got no leader in the secondary anymore. I think this Lions team is going to start falling apart here soon. I used to be a big Lions guy last year.
Here we go.
I'll bet
the
you,
Falcons'
Casey.
turn.
I'll bet you $100 right now that the Lions win this game. Me and you, just me and you.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Let's go. Just me and you. No sports book. Even though we should bet with Betfred Sportsbook, the greatest sportsbook known to man. But I just want to bet you. Lions win this game by 3. Let's go.
If I had if I wasn't strapped for cash this month, I would take you up on that.
Do you know how you unstrap yourself for cash? You win yourself a wager. Let's win ourselves a wager. Let's go. Mono versus mono. You believe in Desmond Ridder? I don't. Let's go.
Nah, I can't take that, dude.
I mean, this is who believes in the Falcons. People who don't believe in them. All right, that's it for that.
As I look across the set there and the picks, I remember something my son said to me on Sunday, which was the Falcons logo stinks, Dad. There's something to that. What's the worst logo in the NFL? We'll get to that in just a second
Browns.
once we're done through our picks.
The Browns have the worst logo. It's not close.
It's the worst logo in sports.
It's not close.
The elf?
It's the helmet.
It's a helmet.
It's a helmet.
It's an
The
orange
helmet, the dog, the elf, they're all
the
terrible.
dog and the elf are at least cool. I'm not cool, but at least there's something. It's just it's just a helmet. What is that?
I mean, I'm not going to argue with you that a big brown helmet isn't going to be the worst logo, but I mean, I am going to say that at least
Called the Browns,
maybe
their color's
can we say
orange.
the worst logo where people try? Maybe the worst logo where there's actually
the
a graphic
Commanders is
designer that
pretty
gives
bad,
it a
too.
shot. All right, let's go through this one. Bills, Commanders. If you're going to give me 6 points, I still don't really believe in the Buffalo Bills all that much. I'm going to take the Commanders, a football team that, for all intents and purposes, do I think they're world beaters? No, but they're 2-0. And you know what's weird about the Commanders is this. The Commanders every single year the past 2 years have always played ugly football. Nobody gives them any kind of credit, but they're in every single game. They are in every single game, and I don't care who their quarterback is. Give me the Commanders.
The reason they don't look good is because they have a decent defense. Their defense is pretty damn good. Their offense is just the worst offense in the history of the league. They've got talent out there. It's just they don't have a quarterback.
They got Eric Bieniemy now.
Well, Sam Howell's actually been balling out. So.
Well, that's fine, but they haven't been
It's
good.
Eric Bieniemy, actually. It's Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, that being said, you guys can name everybody you want, but Riverboat Ron ain't winning this game. Give me the Bills going on the road and winning by a touchdown. Go ahead and take the alternate line, minus 10.5.
I'd like to take the Bills by 100.
So my good friend Jacob Tissett tried to tell me early on in the season, don't sleep on Sam Howell, don't sleep on Sam Howell. Well, Sam Howell's been pretty spectacular the first 2 weeks, all things considered. I don't know if I like this matchup at all. It's really tough to duel Josh Allen. That's what's really going to come down to. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring that happens. But if you're going to ask me who I'm going to take, I'm just going to take a stab at it this week and bet on the Commanders +6. And then the surprise one, this is the most surprising. Tom also has the Commanders. I did not see that one coming at all. He must believe in Sam Howell too.
Believes in Riverboat Ron.
Fair enough. All right, Colts, Ravens. I don't believe in the Colts. Do you believe in the Colts? I don't believe in the Colts. So for that matter, I am going to take the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a pretty good football team. A pretty good football team. Do I think they're great? No, I don't think the Ravens are great because ultimately at the end of the day, their quarterback's probably going to get banged up and they're going to find themselves in a position where they're going to be without him for 3 to 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden, come playoff time, is he going to be healthy enough to be able to lead the Ravens to the Super Bowl? I don't know. But I do think the Ravens are good enough to cover this. That's a lot of points in the NFL. It's a lot of points. But I feel confident in the Ravens to cover because they're healthy.
Yeah, it's a good point, Trace. When I think Lamar Jackson, when he's healthy, I think the Ravens, as the AFC currently stands, I think they're the second best team in the AFC behind the Kansas City Chiefs. So give me the Baltimore Ravens.
Kansas City Chiefs.
To cover this one. Yeah. Go Poe.
The bottom line is Anthony Richardson is done. So the Colts have nothing and nobody. I think it's the Gardner Minshew game. So Ravens win by 15. Spread's 8. They win by 15.
Oh.
You have the Ravens.
Ravens, that's correct.
Okay. Man, I really don't want to pick the Ravens, but I'm going to have to if Anthony Richardson is not playing. Yeah, I mean, it's just tough. I think even if Anthony Richardson was going to play, the Ravens just eat rookies up alive. 8 points. I'll take the points. So, and Tom, also picking Ravens. And that concludes our picks for the week.
All right.
Are we gonna let that one go, boys? Just all 5 of us have the same pick?
We're gonna let it go. You can't do the bit every single time.
The bit works. I'm like 4-1 since doing that.
Do you want? All right, fine. You want to change?
Yeah,
it?
I want to change it. I want to change
it. All right,
it.
he's changing it.
Gardner Minshew. I take back everything I said. Gardner Minshew wins this game outright. He's a great quarterback. He looks like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. I've never had more confidence in any pick in my entire life than the Colts without their starting quarterback going up against the Ravens on the road. I love this pick. I love it. +8. I would make it. Just take money line. Go on Betfred Sportsbook. Responsibly put your entire house on Colts money line.
Responsibly, of course.
Responsibly.
If you have a gambling problem, this is the time to tell you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus in Ohio. All right, it's that time of the show. We're 8 minutes past the hour.
We got to do draft or die, too.
We are doing draft or die, but 8 minutes past the hour. We usually do what we call locals at 11. Locals at 11 is a simple concept. Maybe been stolen from legacy media, perhaps. How could you possibly start your day or finish your day without the knowledge of what it could possibly be when you step outside of the house? It seems like something that an idiot would do, quite frankly. So that's why we sent it to our main man, Elliot, for the weather. Elliot, it's a big weekend. We got a big Reds game tonight. What can we expect?
Oh, thanks, Chip. Yeah, it's great to be back again. Weather hasn't changed yet, won't change anytime soon. First pitch, weather, you're looking at 0% precipitation, 0%, 100% wind. 100% wind. The weather, the forecast, I don't even care. I'm not even going to look at the screen. 75, low 50, I don't care. I just don't care anymore. I don't care. I'm a meteorologist, and I don't care about the weather. I went outside today. It feels great. It's never felt better in my entire life. I got in my car today. I put the window down. I had the window down for my 50-minute drive to work, and it felt great. It was the best day of my life today because of the weather. It's 75 degrees, maybe 70 degrees, possibly 65 at night. Midnight it'll probably be like 55, maybe. I don't know. Precipitation, low. Cloud cover, a little bit of clouds. If you have to go to the clouds, you have to look at the clouds, look at the clouds. The clouds don't really matter, though. Wear some sunglasses. Other than that, the weather hasn't changed. It won't change this weekend. For the weekend forecast, if you're interested in that, weather's not changing. 75, 50, 65, 30, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Weekend forecast is going to be great. It's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great night tonight. Bring a sweater tonight at the ballpark. It's going to get a little chilly. Get a little chilly tonight. All right? First pitch, Reds win. Chip, back to you.
Well, that was a dynamite effort right there by Elliot. At some point, the weather might change. And when it does...
Yeah, well, actually, let's get it back on me real quick. Yeah, so here's the thing about the weather changing. The weather could change right now. Again, the weather's going to change at various points throughout the day. It's going to change at various points throughout the week. Unfortunately for all of us in this room and the graphic production team, that is me and Casey, why are we changing the weather if it's 74 instead of 73? Thank you, Casey. Here we go. Let's check the weather on our phones, which everybody can do for free, and you don't have to sit through commercials and news and murders. Here we go. Right now, it's 74 degrees in this great city of Hamilton. Sunny conditions will continue all day. Wind gusts are up to 12 miles per hour. So if you're maybe an ant, you're going to get affected by the wind. Other than that, you're going to have a great day today. Everybody smile. It's a great day. It's Friday. It's the weekend. Weather's going to be beautiful. Go out and golf. Are you guys golfers? Anybody golfers in this room? Everybody's a golfer in this room. Everybody likes it. Go outside. Enjoy a beer.
Go to the bash.
Casey, what an ad. Listen, if you're free on Saturday, you're going to go up to Clifton. I know Mouse Cop doesn't like Clifton, but you're going to go up to Clifton, and you are going to go to the Chatterbox Sports Bash on Short Vine.
There's a band.
There is a band. Unconfirmed, no band, actually. But there is a band, no band. See you there. Chip, back to you.
Yeah, if you've checked the ticket prices out for the Chatterbox Sports Bash on Short Fine, it is free. If you try to go to Nippert Stadium, it is not free. Ticket prices right now hovering around $150 get in for a single ticket. You're looking at about $175 for a pair per ticket. So if you're looking to watch the game in a fun atmosphere, no better place than to come down to Short Fine. That starts at 11 a.m. and it will end right around 6:30 p.m. So for those that don't know, the game starts at 12. We'll have the full game on. We'll probably put, I don't know what the best 3:30 game is. Dion? Is it going to be Dion? Prime time? We are at a point now where it feels like we have to ask the question, though. If Dion is that guy, will this be the biggest mistake that the University of Cincinnati Athletic Department has made?
Yes.
I don't want to say ever. But, boy, could you imagine if primetime Deion Sanders was in Cincinnati? Now, again, Scott Satterfield, to be fair to him, he might be an unbelievable coach. He might get things moving in the direction in which UC is very much a college football playoff perennial opportunity program. I don't want to say that they're going to be there because that would be a little unfair. I don't know. Begs the question. I know that. So before we get to that, though, we got to do something called ads because they help pay for this show and they help keep the lights on.
Thank you, Trace. We're getting ready to talk about the Bengals, and we just mentioned the Bearcats. So the Bearcats and Bengals report is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data-centered world, from suite of services of mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
Productivity.
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 The path to innovation begins here. Visit
does it begin?
Encore. Well, I was getting ready to say it there, Elliot.
Where does it begin?
Visit encore.tech.
Productivity.
The path to innovation begins here. I was just saying it the other way around. Can I not say it the other way around?
No, you can do whatever you want.
Encore Technologies.
And then we have this wonderful water here that I've already finished. Once again, Pawnee Water has a natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that other brands use. It's made right here in Hamilton, Ohio, and it has quite literally the best tasting water in the world. Good catch there, Elliot. You can visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNIwater.com to see where you can buy this great tasting water. For me, it's the 8 pH level. Mm-hmm. What about you, Reed? What is it for you?
For me? It's the natural limestone filtration, Casey. What a great question. I'm so passionate about the natural limestone filtration. Elliot, do you have an opinion on what your favorite thing is about Pawnee Water?
Yeah, for me, it's the smoothness. When I drink a refreshing ice water, I really want the smoothness. I want it to go down easy. And this goes down easier than any other water, any other brand you can think of. If you go into a store, I'm not going to shout out any other brands. I'd hate to do it because this is a Pawnee Water ad. This isn't any other ad. So if you go to the store and you see any little mountain logo on waters, if you see the islands of Fiji on any of your water, this isn't about that. This is about Pawnee. This is Pawnee. This is the greatest water of all time, perhaps in the history of water, really. I mean, you got to wonder if when the people were colonizing the country had Pawnee, because those people were great people too. So Pawnee Water.
Get your coffee at UDF.
UDF.
Bet on Betfred.
Betfred.
The greatest sports book in the world. Drink Pawnee Water. Get your IT solutions from Encore Technologies. Back to you, Chip.
Appreciate it. All right, two things that I want to expand upon. One is Joe Burrow. Where are we at? What's that look like? Does anyone really believe that if he doesn't play, that the Bengals can win? I'll make the case that I think that they can. If you're going to suggest for 1 second that this Bengals team can win a Super Bowl, then I'm going to suggest that they can find a way on Monday Night Football in their home stadium that they can find a way to win an ugly game against the Rams. Now, I know everyone's going to tell me the Rams are playing great, Trace. They're a good team, this, that, and the other. All right? I just have a hard time believing that Jake Browning's that bad. He can't be that bad. He's in the National Football League. Do you have to limit the playbook? Do you have to limit the things that you possibly can do? Of course. But this isn't something that just happened in the first quarter of a game where Jake Browning then has to get rushed in and your whole entire game plan for the entire week changes. You have all week to prepare for Jake Browning to be your starting quarterback. What are the guys that get paid the big bucks down there at Paycor Stadium that are coaches and offensive coordinators and guys like that? What do they get paid to do? They get paid to scheme things up to make themselves have the best chance to win with who they have on the field, their personnel. Do you think for a second that Brock Purdy is that much better than Jake Browning? Or is it just the fact that the guy who calls the plays has a system in place that allows his team to have the best chance to succeed with the personnel that they have on the field? I don't want to listen, and I don't want to hear the excuses beyond excuses beyond excuses about how Jake Browning is bad. He can't do this, he can't do that. Well, if that was the case, then it should have been addressed a long time ago. But they watched Jake Browning play enough football to where at this point, I believe that they know something that all of us don't. That Jake Browning is capable of winning a football game in the NFL. Now, the line has come out. It's hovered around 3 points. Bengals -3. It started out around 6. Went all the way down to 1, jumped back to 3. Now, speculation is Joe Burrow going to play or is he not? My heart of hearts tells me that the line started at about 6.5 when they believed that Joe Burrow was going to play. And the line dropped down to 3 when they realized he's probably not going to play. Now, that sounds way wild, right? That sounds crazy. Joe Burrow's only worth 3 points? That's ridiculous. Well, when you have a full week to prepare in the NFL, and as much as you want to make fun of Jake Browning, he's still playing in the National Football League. If Jake Browning was out here throwing football in the backyard, every single person in this chat and in this room would say, I can't. That dude's just built different. I've never seen a football thrown like that before. Because professional athletes, no matter how bad you want to say they are elite within their specific category of what they're trying to accomplish. I'm not suggesting Jake Browning is going to be the next Joe Montana, obviously. But to sit here and suggest to me that you have zero chance to win this game with Jake Browning as your starting quarterback, I'm not going to buy it. Fellas, it's as simple as this. Is Joe Burrow going to play or not? Because signs are seeming to tell me that he's not.
Well, Trace, I think Reed feels a little different than I do. I feel like Joe Burrow still has a pretty good chance of playing this game. However, the question is, can we win with Jake Browning? Here's the deal. Jake Browning has talent, right? We've seen him make good throws. He's got an extra dynamic with his feet. He can run the ball. The problem is he makes a lot of mistakes and costly ones like turnovers. And that's just something that this team can't really afford early on in this ball game. So that's where I have my hesitations. I don't think it's necessarily a talent issue. And he's going to have guys like Jamar and T and Boyd. But you also have to question like the play calling. Are they smart enough to give easy plays to Jake Browning? I don't know, man. I mean, they weren't giving him easy stuff in the preseason. They were asking him to pretty much execute back shoulder throws during the preseason. And he, to be fair to him, to give credit to him, he made a couple of them. But there's a hesitation there because this is pretty much a rookie quarterback going out there. He's going to have a lot thrown his way to try to confuse him. I I'm worried about that. This is a primetime spotlight sort of game for him. I'd feel much more comfortable out there if Joe Burrow was out there throwing the ball. Despite that, I think there's a chance that Jake Browning can win this game if he plays clean.
Yeah, let me address a few things that were asked and said. And the first one is Trace's question about Jake Browning. If we believe that Jake Browning can win this game, yeah, it's the NFL, right? I mean, any of these teams, you can win any given week. That's why I always say it's the greatest league on the planet, just because it's great. I mean, we can talk about Thursday Night Football being terrible last night, but the Giants had a chance to make it a 3-point game midway through the third quarter. That being said, for Trace saying about the spreads, the spread came out at 6.5, and then after the news that Joe Burrow and the presser said that he re-aggravated his calf, it went down to 3. And the only reason it's still 3 is because in case Joe plays. I think if Joe plays, it'll sit right around 3, but me and Trace actually made a bet on what the line would be if Joe is announced scratched. I bet him $25 that it would be about 6 points. The Rams would be favored by 6 points, and I still hold to that. Maybe I would like to hear what you guys think the line would be if they announced that Joe Burrow isn't playing. To answer the thing about Trace said about Jake Browning, they should have addressed a better backup quarterback. They tried. They genuinely tried. After Brandon Allen left, they brought in guys like Trevor Siemian, Jake Browning, obviously. Who was the guy from Ball State that they brought in? Drew Platt at one point?
Yeah, Platt, and then
Platt. We tried a bunch of different quarterbacks, and it just turned out that Jake Browning was the best out of terrible options, and everyone that watched the preseason games knew how bad he looked. Yeah, he's got some talent there. Yeah, he's in the NFL, so he's obviously was a great college quarterback. It's just I don't want him to play, and it comes down to that. But based off of the press conferences yesterday, I got the vibe that things seemed bleak. I felt like if things were positive, there'd be more positive talk from Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow, but it was still just a lot of, yeah, we're taking it day by day. Yeah, a lot of wait and see. There wasn't any news that, yeah, it's looking good. Yeah, it's looking better. And I know they gotta put smoke screens up to keep the opponent off their guard, but it just seemed bleak to me.
He didn't even throw in individuals yesterday either.
Right? Yeah, he didn't practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do not think the Bengals will win a game with Jake Browning. I just don't believe it. If you take his college completion percentage and match it up against last year's quarterbacks, he'd be ranked 20th in the NFL, and that's
his college stats.
Yeah, it's his college stats. So he has a 64% completion percentage from college, which would rank 20th in the NFL. I don't see it. I think he has talent. Sure, every professional athlete has talent. Every professional athlete has God-given ability. If the Bengals were to somehow control the game and just run out the clock, is really what it would have to. I mean, that's really what it would have to be. It would just be screens and Joe Mixon if Jake Browning's in there. So I don't think they can win a game like that. Not against the Rams. I think there are teams you can maybe do that. Maybe the Falcons. Maybe the Panthers. So I just right now, no, I don't think the Bengals can win with Jake Browning. He looked horrible in the preseason. He's going to look horrible again. Trace brought up the argument that he didn't have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, sure. But he still had Charlie Jones. I mean, he had competent receivers out there. If you're going to say Jake Browning has talent because he's an NFL quarterback, you have to say the other wide receivers on the roster have talent because they're in the NFL as well. So it's not like you're throwing to scrubs. You're throwing to NFL caliber wide receivers. He didn't look good. He didn't look confident. He was playing against scrubs. I think Jake Browning struggles mightily if he were to play a game. For that reason alone, I think Joe Burrow plays. Joe Burrow will play because the Bengals know that they have literally 0% chance. 0 chance to win the game. And to answer Reed's other question about the spread, if it's Jake Browning out there, the Rams are favored by 7.5.
Not true.
It's funny that I'm putting myself in the position that I hate. I hate when fans put themselves in a win-win. When you're the negative fan, I know I brought this point up to Trace, and he's illustrated on Chatterbox Reds and other places, but when you're the negative fan, you put yourself in a win-win scenario. When you constantly bash your team and stuff like that, then you can either go, if they win or do something good, you get to cherish in your favorite team being good. But if you're the negative fan and they play bad, then you get to be right. And that's what I hate, but that's where I'm putting myself in because I just don't see Jake Browning having us compete. And like I said, if he competes, then it's a win. If he is terrible, then it's a win for me too. And I hate being that fan right now, but I just don't see it any other way at this point.
I would just like to say that if Brock Purdy was the backup quarterback to Joe Burrow, and he got thrown into a system similar to what the Bengals try to run Jake Browning underneath during the preseason, thrown to the receivers in which Jake Browning was thrown to, there'd be probably a lot of people sitting here saying that Brock Purdy has no chance to win a game in the NFL. If they had to play Brock Purdy, then Bengals would have no chance. That's what some people in this fan base would be saying. I'll tell you this right now. If Joe Burrow does not play, all of the eyes should go to one Zach Taylor. That's where he needs to step up. He needs to get creative. He needs to understand that the game flow is going to look a lot different. He needs to try to find a way to get his game changers the ball in spaces in which are not difficult to an average quarterback. Those things can happen. Those things are possible. We'll see if they're able to do it. Big game on Monday. We will obviously be doing this show on Monday morning as well, as a reminder. But before we do that, we have a couple things to get to. One of them is Friday Night Football. It's right around the corner. We have Draft or Die just after this. This segment is brought to you by Elliott Rearing, the Zebra. I thought this was going to be a serious segment at the beginning of the show.
It is a serious segment. Why? Wait.
And then it turned into us picking games that we just don't know exactly where these teams are from. So I can't wait to pick teams that I have no idea who they are this week. Elliot, you're going to rebuttal that or what?
Well, yeah, Chatterbox Sports was built on the love of high school football, and I just like to encapsulate that with the games that I pick. I think when you think of high school football, you think of just kids just going out there having a good time and trying to win a ball game. So that's the games I pick, and if you guys don't like that, I mean, that's pretty disingenuous on your part. But here we go.
What are the standings?
The standings, good point, Casey. So Casey leads. That's why he asked. Casey is 19-6 for his high school picks. Trace is in second place, 17-7. Reed is in third place, 15-10. And Elliott is in fourth place, 14-11. And I can't reiterate this enough. The loser of this will get fired. They will lose their insurance. They will lose their house. They will lose their car. You will be out on the street if you lose this. Responsibly. Here we go. We start with the greatest game of the century, Elder versus St. X. Elder High School versus the St. X Bombers. I think it's a disrespectful name. That's still their name, but whatever. Elder High School wins this football game easily.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Elliot on this one.
Yeah,
I think that St. X has not looked very good. They lost last week, right?
Yeah.
Lost last week to Moeller. They played a CPS school in Withrow and barely snuck that one out. So, yeah, give me the Altioras.
I'm going to take Elder as well.
Yeah.
As much as it pains me, I'm going to take Elder as well.
Yeah, you are.
Casey?
I'll just take Elder too.
All right, everybody's got Elder.
You're not going to change your pick?
Yeah, you're not going to change your pick,
You're not going to change your pick?
Yeah, you're not going to change your pick?
You're not going to change your pick,
What
Elliot?
are you guys talking about? Listen, I make honest picks. I give my own opinion, and then I stick with it. Next up, we got two juggernauts. We got Claremont Northeastern taking on Blanchester. And a special start.
yes.
We got a special start time there at 7:30. 30 minutes extra just to get all the feelings controlled there in Blanchester.
It's called traffic control. There's so many people piling in.
Oh, yeah.
You can't start the game at 7 because there's.
Well,
we've been down this before.
Yeah,
Remember, you've seen it this whole past week.
Well, no,
people got to work, Elliot. They got to
no,
have time to get to the game.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit longer.
7 o'clock starts. Yeah, you can't fill the stadium up.
Yeah. It just takes a little bit longer to get to the game when you're riding on a tractor to get there. All right, so here we go. We got Claremont Northeastern, Blanchester. I'm gonna go with Casey's. Blanchester, what's your mascot? The Cows?
Wildcats.
The Wildcats at home. Blanchester. Go Blanny. Rest in peace. Casey murdered him in the halls.
Yeah. Claremont Northeastern versus Blanchester. Coach Justin Schmitz, 8-4 last year as the head coach of the Wildcats. Yeah, give me the Wildcats winning this one. Let's
Blanchester.
go.
Are we going to do the same picks again?
Blanchester.
This would be funny if we just did the same picks the whole time.
I think that I'm going to take C&E. That's what everybody calls them.
That's a tough one.
Claremont Northeastern.
Claremont
Are
Northeastern.
there, so they were out of directions in
CNE.
Claremont? Is that what happened there?
Excuse
they
me?
had the north, south, west, east, so they had to go northeastern for Claremont? Is that what happened there?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Northwest was taken. North was taken, so they had to go northeast. So
fair.
Claremont Northeast, just to make sure that you weren't confused that they're from Claremont. You might be like, Claremont? Well, where at in Claremont? Well, Claremont Northeast.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
There you go.
Guys, I hate to say this, but we usually stomp CNE every year by like 30 points. They have no depth. They might not even have a full team. They might have 10 guys out there.
Yeah, Coach Justin Schwartz has these guys ready to rock.
Yeah. So Blanchester by a
bamboozled.
million.
Yeah, if I know anything about Blanchester football, it's that they get the guys ready to go. Hughes at Western Hills. West High's never won a football game. I don't think Hughes has won one either. But these two juggernauts are squaring off at Western Hills High School. See you there on Glenway Avenue, right across from Little Caesars. I'm going to go, I guess I should make a pick. Man, I just hate this. I mean, I really don't like it. I saw Western Hills twice this year, both blowouts. They've been the running clock has been hit on them.
You saw them?
Yeah, I work when I work the events that I work. Trace.
Yeah, Trace.
The events on Friday nights. The events on Friday nights that I go out and work.
Hey, boss, remember what we do on Friday nights?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we could stop doing them. That would be great for me. There is nothing I would love more than to never see Western Hills High School play a football game. But that's the hand that I've been dealt. So here we go. Hughes at Western Hills. I'm gonna go Hughes. I'm sure they've got a program.
Yeah, Hughes coming off a tough loss against the Baden Rams last week. The Big Red have been good in recent years, but I'm going to go with Pete Rose's alma mater. Give me West High.
West High. I don't know what else to say.
Great.
Man, I have also watched Western Hills at least once with Elliot. So I got to take Hughes. They're bad, man. They're real bad.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, this one, I had to triple check this one because I'm not going to lie, these two schools are definitely made up. Like, this is like when they made that HBO documentary about them scamming ESPN to get on national television. We have Simon Kenton taking on Paul Lawrence Dunbar. These are just two guys who won in their own high school. This is a 1v1 super match between Simon Kenton and Paul Lawrence Dunbar from the great state of Kentucky. I mean, this is a very unserious football game. This is a very
Wait a minute, those are two Dayton schools.
Are they?
Not Dayton.
I think it's in Kentucky, dude.
Yeah, they're both in Kentucky.
So we got Simon. Why did you say it like that? It sounds like you're not very excited to pick a game here. Simon Kenton, Paul Lawrence Dunbar. Just two names. You got Simon or you got Paul?
First of all, Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School is in Dayton.
Simon Kenton's in
Simon
Kentucky.
Kenton. There is also, I'm pretty sure there's a Simon. I'm thinking of Kenton Ridge, so my apologies. If you're going to make me pick, I'm going to go with Simon Kenton.
I'm also going to go Simon Kenton.
Yeah, you guys gotta buff up on your history. Simon Kenton was a frontiersman, friend of Daniel Boone. The fact that you're disrespecting that man's name, and Simon Kenton's been a good football program. Give me Simon Kenton.
Simon Kenton.
All right, we all got the same picks there. That's the second
RM said Paul Lawrence Dunbar was a Dayton, Ohio native.
Good for him.
I lived in the Dunbar district for 3 years.
And he was relevant enough to get himself a high school?
Yeah, first house I ever bought was in the Wright Dunbar district. You ever heard of those names? You ever heard of Wright, Elliot? You ever heard of that?
Wright? No, I'm
never heard of Wright.
Never heard
in
of
Dayton.
Wright?
You ever heard of Wright? Wright and Dayton. You ever put those two together?
I'm unfamiliar. All right, here we go.
Well, great education you got down there.
Yeah, South
Big time
Dearborn
private school. West side of Cincinnati.
Can I finish? South Dearborn taking on East Central. We go to the great state of Indiana. South Dearborn taking on East Central. I'm going to take the Fighting East Centrals.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This game doesn't even seem close. I mean, those schools are wildly different in size. East Central beat the crap out of Moeller. They've been to the state championship a couple years in a row. Yeah, give me East Central.
East Central.
I'll go see East Central as well.
All right, so we have three games that we all picked literally the same thing. So not a lot of ground to be made up, but we're picking the best games of the week. You go on one of the local news things tonight, they will show you the highlights of these 5 games. I promise you that.
Fair enough.
That's it. End of the segment. It's time for Draft or Die.
It is time for Draft or Die, and as a reminder, this is how the game goes. We run a race to pick the order of a snake draft. Once we get the order of the snake draft, we then choose the team, take out the lines, straight money line if you're looking at it from a gambling perspective, but it's just a straight pick 'em. If you miss both of your picks, then you must stand in front of the camera and read straight from the teleprompter a 30-second bit that you then can't laugh about. If you laugh, you have to then reread it over. So without farther ado, we have our 100-yard race. And within the 100-yard race, we'll see how long it takes. Casey is speed typing right now as we speak, trying to get that set up. And here we go.
Make it the 15-minute one.
And they're off.
Here we go.
Elliot with a commanding lead to start.
Nice.
Go, Elliot, go. Go, Elliot, go.
Reed, pick it up. Elliot. Gapper's out there. He'll tackle you. Watch out for that pesky Gapper.
Still about even. Ooh.
Look at those legs churning. Who's up at the top?
Trace.
Love that. Love that.
Look at him. Trace is going to run away with this thing.
I don't know.
Pun intended.
I do feel like it's going to be a glitch in the system. I'm going to get stuck in mud here in a minute.
Elliot, come on. I mean, I listen.
Roo loves
this
going
is
slow.
I'll tell you what, this game's pretty accurate.
This is a pretty realistic 100-yard dash.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've always been a short burst guy. I'm the fastest guy out there if it's a 5-yard sprint. I mean, that's just a fact. That's
what
right
they always
now.
say.
It's any
Elliot's
time.
fast. Those two things are put together a lot.
Listen, I'm the fastest 5-yard sprinter this world's ever seen. But if you have to do a 100-yard dash, yeah, I'm gonna come in last.
Trace, congrats on your win.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Come on, Reed. Let's
push. Let's push it.
Let's go, Elliot. Come on, Elliot. Get that stamina. Did he eat it? He must have not eaten a banana before this race. Banana cell.
Never crop.
Uh-oh.
I don't know who's going to win this.
This is close. This is close. Oh, it's...
Casey. Who won? Casey. Then Reader.
Then Elliot.
Nice.
Then Elliot.
All right. Here we go. I'll start it off. They got me out of the weeds last week. They'll get me out of the weeds again. I will take the Dallas Cowboys. Who's next?
I guess that's me, right?
Yep.
I'm going to take the wrong camera.
People want to
Kansas
see you.
City Chiefs.
Yeah, that's the right pick. Those were the two easiest picks. I'll take the next easiest pick. I'll take Jacksonville. Home against the Texans.
I will take...
Back-to-back, Ellie.
Okay, I will take the Bengals.
What?
And then I will take...
Are you trying to lose?
I will take the Bengals, and then I will take... Nobody pick Dolphins? Somebody pick Dolphins?
Nope.
I'll pick the Dolphins.
Okay, I'll go next. I'll take the Ravens. Got the Jags and the Ravens.
I'm going to take... I already feel pretty good about Kansas City winning that ball game, so I'm gonna just take the Falcons just to prove a point.
All right, I will take. I'm assuming. Man,
Buffalo hasn't been taken.
Yep, I'm trying to find the one that's not been taken.
Seattle.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave that one alone. I will take
Packers.
No.
Cleveland.
Silence.
Sorry. I think I'm going to take the...
I mean, this is way too long.
Sorry.
I mean, this is
Jags
just
have
far
already
too
been
long.
picked, correct?
You can pick it. You could pick Philly if you want.
Jags have already been picked.
Yep.
And where's Philly at? Who they play?
Monday against Tampa.
On the
thank
road.
you. That's on the road. I'll take the Seahawks.
Okay.
Take the Seahawks.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter because the Cowboys are not going to lose. So there's
And just
that.
so the audience is clear, the loser of this dies.
Not quite. I already explained it right before we started this segment that you're going to read from a teleprompter.
What's the point of the show then? It's called Draft or Die.
Yeah, it's called
It
Draft or Die.
is called Draft or Die. Although I don't think that would go really well within the society that we live in.
The dying part is dying laughing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yourself.
Nice.
At the
Good job,
teleprompter.
Casey. Good save. Good save.
That was good stuff there. Before we get to chat power rankings, we do have a Chatterbox mailbag, if that's okay.
Sure, let's see it.
I don't know if you guys want to do it.
I love how you actually have it in a mailbag, but nobody can see it because the camera doesn't actually go that far down. So
right, then let me
go ahead and actually pull it up. There you go.
All right, here we go.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from.
Wow, thank you, Elliot. All right, today's Chatterbox mailbag comes from Little Bill and Mr. Gates's class. Little Bill from Mr. Gates's class. All right, I'm going to try to get through this one with a straight face because this is a very serious segment. Little Bill says, Galileo explained in simple terms how the heliocentric model of the universe, as described by Copernicus, resolved issues that the Wait, okay. Reed made a sound. I was unable to get through it. Hold on. I'm going to read it again. Here we go. Straight face. Here we go.
How are you reading that piece of paper, by the way?
I'm reading it.
You're
good.
like reading
everybody
it sideways
calm.
there.
Everybody get off me. This is a serious segment. Little Bill from Mr. Gates's class says, Galileo explained in simple terms how the heliocentric model of the universe, as described by Copernicus, resolved issues that the geocentric model could not explain. Among other things, Galileo explained why the Earth's motion was not obvious to people on its surface. If the Cincinnati Reds are able to make the postseason, would it defy all logic in science and be perhaps the most interesting achievement in the history of space and time? This is Little Bill in Mr. Gates's class. Little Bill in Mr. Gates's class.
I have no idea what was just read. Quite honestly, you lost me at the very first sentence. Is this a question? Can we dumb this down? Is this a question about the Cincinnati Reds?
Yeah, if the Cincinnati Reds made the postseason, would this be the coolest achievement in your life? Sports.
No, I don't think so. My life, I would hope to live long enough to see the Reds win the World Series. I don't think that that's probably in the cards for this year, and I think that that's in the cards hopefully in the future. So I'll continue to say that it's not going to be the best experience of my life, among other things that I've been able to fortunately accomplish. I do think that the Reds are in a situation now where everything's in front of them, and it's very realistic. I get the fan graphs. You know, I get you can get into the percentages and all that, but we're talking about these percentages fluctuating 20, 30, 40% on a 2 to 3 day basis. If the Reds were to sweep this series against the Pirates and the Marlins and Cubs fall 2 of 3, which they're probably not, but if they did, the percentage chance of the Cincinnati Reds making the postseason is going to be incredibly high. One would argue that the chances of sweeping a team in Major League Baseball is not very high already, which is why I've tried to set my sights on you win 2, you win 1, you win 2. Where does that get you? It puts you at 85 wins. 85 wins is probably the point in my mind where you're going to have a tie for that last place. It's just a matter of who you're tied with. Are you tied with the Cubs? Are you tied with the Marlins? The Diamondbacks are a team that's playing really good baseball right now. Perhaps they fall apart and they come back to the pack. That's possible. Perhaps the Reds get super hot and they sweep. They take 1 of 2 from Cleveland, or they take both from Cleveland and they win the series in St. Louis. The next thing you know, they've won 7 of their last 8, and they easily make the postseason. Who knows? But what I do know is this. You have to have perspective in life in order to have gratitude, in order to really appreciate where you are and what you have. No matter who you are, whether you're watching this show right now and you think your life's in a spot where you don't really love it, that can happen. It's part of the human nature of who we are. Usually the grass we feel like is always greener. It's why it's a saying. But the truth is that when you actually get into the details of where you're at in your life compared to what else it may be, you can find perspective that makes you appreciate what you do have. You can always do the opposite as well. You can try to find what others have that you don't, and you find yourself right back into a pit of misery that you find yourself always wanting more. I try in the last month when I watch the Cincinnati Reds team to be the person of the aforementioned. The one that says, you know what? This has been unbelievable. I don't know how it's ultimately going to go, but what an incredible season I've been a part of. And you know what? I get the people that want to sit here and say that it's overkill and there's an average team at best and they might win 83 games, whoop-de-doo. But it's all about the perspective of where you started. As a fan, I feel like the middle-class kid that just got a second lease on life and I came from nothing. Usually those people are happier in life. They say money doesn't buy happiness because the folks that have the most money traditionally and usually come from a place of bad perspective. Some say they were born on third base. Some say they were trust fund babies. Some say whatever you want to say. But what it ultimately is a place in which you are born into society and you are held to an expectation that you don't feel comfortable with because you don't know where your true value is because you've been given everything. When you're supposed to win 90, 95, 100 games, whatever term it is that you want to use, you come from a place of perspective that I don't know if you're really going to reach the gratitude that you have when you watch this Reds team. Certainly I want to win a World Series as a fan. Of course that's the ultimate goal. But I would hearken back and ask you, what really is the point of fandom? I would argue that the point of fandom is to create happiness where you didn't expect it, where it came out of nowhere. When you win a World Series, you just can't fathom possibly winning it all because it comes around so few and far between. That's why you feel or you presume it to be an elite level feeling. The truth is, and many of you know, I'm a Georgia Bulldog football fan. They've won back-to-back national championships. I would be lying if I said the second one meant just as much as the first one. Yeah. That would be a lie. The first one felt the best because of why? You had to take down, ultimately, all of the demons. But sometimes the climb's just as fun as the ultimate mountaintop. I know that many might not believe that. But this is the beginning of a journey, I feel like, as Reds fans, that is just the start. It's a ton of young players. We have no idea ultimately who they are going to end up being on the back of their baseball card, but it's fun to watch. And I'm going to continue watching, and I'm going to try to soak up the perspective that is this. This team shouldn't be here. They have no business playing meaningful games in September. And if you can't find happiness in a season like this, I have a hard time believing you'll ever find happiness truly within your fandom of the Cincinnati Reds. Of course, you could say, if they win it all, I'll be happy. But there's been so many moments this year that have been just pure joy moments that you never suspected in a million years. And that, I would argue, is almost what the mountaintop feels like. So if you have a chance to get to Great American Ballpark, if you have a chance to watch the games on TV, do your best to look around and soak it in. Because for us Cincinnati Reds fans, this hasn't happened as much as we would like. And I would hope to think that in the upcoming years, we're going to get plenty more of it. I appreciate you watching this show every single day. You mean a lot to us. And as a reminder, we do have box lunch. Mm-hmm. We will end the show not super early, but just a little bit early.
We got Chat Power Rankings.
Chat Power Rankings.
And we have the Chat Power Rankings because you guys really love Chat Power Rankings.
And I have one opinion, too, on that. I never
Please go.
An opinion. If this Reds team were able to make the postseason under these circumstances, under everything that's gone wrong, 40 different pitchers, coronavirus, people getting drilled in the face by Ellie De La Cruz, all the magic that's Luke Dreamweaver. Luke Dreamweaver had a 7.5 ERA and he started 26 games for the Reds. 21 games. All the stuff that's happened this season, with our win total prediction at the beginning of the year, if you would have told me that there was a chance for a playoff berth in October, I would have laughed at your face. I would have laughed at your face. With it being possible now, if they were to make the playoffs, just making the postseason, this team, it would probably be the happiest I've been as a Cincinnati sports fan. And again, I know the Bengals went to a Super Bowl, so it's probably been, Evan McPherson kicking the game winner against Kansas City was euphoria. I understand that, but I am a bigger Reds fan than a Bengals fan. Everybody knows this. So for me personally, this would mean more to me. I would love nothing more. And I'm just trying to sit back what it would look like. Could you imagine next week, or on I think next Sunday, next Friday, next Saturday, next Sunday, against the Cardinals, in the top of the ninth, tie game, Joey Votto comes up to the plate, smacks a home run to clinch the Reds a playoff series berth, excuse me. That would be my dream. That would be my dream. It's possible. Let's go, Reds. Pack the park. Let's pack GABP. Get the people out there. I want 30,000 a night. I'll be there Sunday. Trace will be there Sunday. Let's see you there. I'm excited.
Chat power rankings.
Yeah, chat power rankings. Before we get into that, quick news on Cincinnati Bengals. They signed a quarterback. They got Reed Sinnett. Who was
great.
You ready for Reed Sinnett's illustrious NFL career?
What do you guys expect him to get? But go ahead.
Well, so he was signed by the Cincinnati Bengals on July 29th this year. He was released a month later, obviously signed 1 month later. Last year, he was signed by the Miami Dolphins on October 3rd. He was released 3 weeks later. Also last year, he was signed by the Philadelphia Eagles and was released 6 days later. So an illustrious career from Reed Sinnett, but we love that a Reed is getting some snaps. We cherish when Reeds get some chance to play. But it's the chat power rankings.
He's not the Congress, he's the Senate.
Nice. Good one. All right, let's get into chat power rankings. Reminder, we have box lunch, and boy, do we have a treat for you guys. But let's get into chat power rankings from your favorite person here at Chatterbox, me. Let's go ahead and get the first one out of the way. Dishonorable mention goes to none other than Mouse Cop. That is a guaranteed. He will never be in my chat power rankings. We will acknowledge him every time, but it's only because he smells so bad. Mouse Cop, you're dishonorable. Get out of here. Already off the screen. So there goes Mouse Cop.
I don't take Mouse Cop slander. This is wrong.
That was right. Get out of here. All right, coming in at number 5, Mr. Mo. Mo is short for Morgan. And we love having you in the chat. Always throwing around the super chats. That's not the reason that you're here in the chat power rankings, because you add a great thing to the chat. You're often pushing back on our takes, which we appreciate. We really do. Some people agree, some people don't, and you give us your honest opinion every time. And I actually love that in the chat. That's what I like about you, Mr. Mo. You're coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, Swaggy Plague. Another great week from you. You know, you're not always, you don't bombard the chat. You're not always in the chat, but you do a great job. Trey's is shaking his head no. People are calling me beef sheets in the chat.
I was not shaking my head at Swaggy Plague. I was shaking my head at other things.
I don't know where beef sheets came from, but yeah, beef sheets. That's my new nickname, I guess. That's a good one. I love it. Love what it means. Swaggy Plague, number 4. Congratulations. Coming in at number 3, we got Fred M. Fred M is one of the best Reds fans in the chat. I like when Fred M. He's often funny. He often articulates his points well. He's often gives us, I think he often ribs us the best. I think he ribs me at least the best. I like when Fred M. Talks some crud to me. I like Fred M. That's why I put you in at number 3. Number 2. This guy is Notre Dame. This guy can see the future. It is Brian B. Brian B, 2 weeks ago, around the same time that I bought this jersey, told me that the Cubs will collapse this September. And boy, oh boy, was he right. Who would have guessed that the illustrious franchise, the Chicago Cubs, would have collapsed when it came down to the final month of the season? That has never happened before. No one could see it coming. Brian B, you saw it from a mile away.
I love Brian.
So congratulations for
Brian,
that call.
I love you.
You've got a cute dog there.
Got breaking news in the chat, too.
We do? Before we get to
Brian B does. Check it out.
Brian B. I'm not seeing it.
Come on, Reed.
Max Fried to the IL.
Max Fried to the
Can
IL.
you read?
That's big. Don't have to face Max Fried next week. It's good. Cool. Sweet. Honorable mention goes to Blackmore. I didn't put you in here, but honorable mention goes to you because you're a Notre Dame fan. We're going to get it done. All right, number 1. Bit of shakeup here at number 1. We had a late scratch from number 1.
Really?
Yep. Coming in at number 1 this week in the honorable chat power rankings is nobody. None of you guys deserve it. Y'all stink. Get out of here. None of you guys get it this week. Just kidding. We actually do have a number 1 this week, and he was put in the final 10 minutes of this show. It is Smelly It. Smelly It. That gets number 1. What a great name, Smelly It.
This isn't a serious ranking.
It is a picture of Elliot with his girlfriend, Taylor Swift. Congratulations, Elliot, on dating Taylor Swift.
Yeah, thank you very much.
But Smelly It, you get number 1. Congratulations, Smelly It. You deserved it.
Fire Reed. Fire Reed.
Top tier. If you join our membership group, it'll cost about $100,000 to fire me. Who knows?
All right. Well, this is the end of the show, and as a reminder, we come your way every single day, Monday through Friday, from 10 to 12
P.
So that means we won't be back on air until Monday. And as a reminder, the Cincinnati Bengals play on Monday night. We will be down at Paycor. We'll have some information on that as well. We also have some news to share about some following weeks down at Paycor as well. But we have box lunch, something that many of you probably are looking forward to. So without farther ado, I present to you box lunch. Have a good weekend, everybody.
I must admit, I didn't think much of this show the first time I laid eyes on it. Seemed like a bunch of stiffs wasting nice
The worst
microphones.
trade of all time happened back in 1803. Go ahead. Napoleon Bonaparte traded the Louisiana Purchase for $3 million. Napoleon, what happened? Half the country for $3 million. You can't even get Tucker Barnhart for $3 million.
Then I came to realize these guys are funny.
And Justin Fields have identical stats the last 5 weeks about throwing the football. This guy, okay,
And
folks,
are
is a
some of the
fidget
best
spinner.
gamblers I've come to know.
If you're betting on USC and or TCU, let it be known you are a square.
TCU is going to hammer this team tomorrow night.
I hate to hear that.
Tomorrow
When we come back
afternoon.
in here on Monday, you're going to be happy as a lark because USC lost, but you're going to be wrong about TCU.
Get ready for the most useless hour of your day. It's time for Boxed Lunch, presented by Betfred Sportsbook. Now, Casey, run that track.
Hey, we're back. It's box lunch. It's been almost 2 months since we last ran this show.
And boy, oh boy, do we have a great show for you today. The final hour of this show, we're going to talk about how the Reds suck. We're also going to talk about Seiya Suzuki. Is he the GOAT? Is he the GOAT? What about Wrigleyville? Wrigleyville, Jersey City Connect.
Just cut the show. Cut the show